So my name is Artur Pawlowski. I am the local pastor here in Calgary. I take care of the homeless. We feed thousands of people every single week. I also advocate for the rights of all Canadians, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. Many people do not know probably that I was the first Canadian ever arrested for publicly reading Bible in 2006. Since then, I have been arrested multiple times, detained, fined, over 100 court cases, number of citations, about 300. At times I spent 3 weeks in courts to defend rights of freedom of speech, freedom of peaceful assembly, freedom of expression, freedom of media. It's just the story of my life. It took me 10 years to create in the city of Calgary something that is known as the Speaker's Corner. Now in Calgary we have two. And so that's what I do. I preach the gospel. I let the people know that there is hope, and I feed the poor.
That's fantastic. Now, I just want to make sure. I know that some years ago, when Ezra Levant was with Sun TV, I believe that The Source did a couple of stories on you. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
And when did the trouble start in Calgary? When did you start being harassed by the government and arrested and so on?
Well, I have been feeding people for a number of years before the trouble came. It started when the media got a hold of the story and started to write about me. I was a very successful businessman. I walked away from the business realm. I started to take care of the prostitutes, drug addicts, homeless. I started to feed them, take care of them, take them for dinners and find them jobs and houses. And the story went to the papers and to the TV. They were writing good stuff about us. Street church is growing. Street church brings hope. And the politicians got involved. The moment the politicians got involved, the police and the bylaw officers started to show up. Before that, no one really cared. We went to the parks, the ghettos, that even police would not go. Parks like Triangle Park or Needle Park, because there were so many needles and drug dealers and pushers that normal citizen would not even go over there. So we went under the bridges into the places of really troubled people and criminal activity to bring some light into the darkness. And then a shock after such amazing stories in the media. Bylaws showed up and they said what we are doing, believe it or not, everything we were doing according to them was illegal. And I started to receive threats. I started to be followed by weird people. Detectives showed up, citations started to be given to me. I was threatened with arrests. And that was 2005. We put up a fight. We won the initial fight. And we were allowed to do this until my arrest in 2006 for publicly reading Bible among ourselves. 6 of us went to a park, public place, away from everybody, and we read Psalms. Police showed up. There was a warlocks over there and tarot card readers about 100 meters from us, and they called the police. Police showed up, and I was told that what I'm doing is illegal. I recited Charter of Rights and Freedoms. He said that he is the law, and I was arrested, handcuffed, dragged. He forced me to walk behind to his police vehicle. I was handcuffed, and I faced 6 months jail time for my terrible crimes. Everything was recorded, and it cost me $100,000 to get me off the hook with hiring, good lawyers and going to courts and standing before the judges and all that craziness. That made it international story. And then the city of Calgary declared to me that because I did what I did and it made it and embarrassed them on an international scale, they're going to, I quote, squeeze me like a cockroach or like a bug. And a fight started, and I got arrested again and again and again. 10 arrests, and many, many times they detained me. I have received, like I said, about 300 citations ranging from $50 to $10,000 each. And I spent a lot of money fighting the system. And finally, I won my rights feed the poor, and preach the gospel, believe it or not, in a free and democratic country with the constitutional rights. But it took me hundreds of thousands of dollars and 10 years of fighting.
Now, the municipal, was it the same person who was mayor this whole time, or has it been kind of a municipal policy no matter who was the mayor?
No, it started with Dave Bronconia. And of course, at that time, I didn't know the level of corruption at City Hall. Later on, I received documents, which I am in a possession to this day, that I was framed by two people from City Hall. Drew Farrell, which she's still an alderman of the city of Calgary, and Joe Ceci, that is now the Minister of Finance for NDP government. Those two people framed me, calling people, staging a scenario that the news said that our activities are creating so much noise that people cannot sleep, people cannot enjoy themselves because of our activities. I didn't know at that time that those two city officials were part of this. I actually brought the documents to a Minister of Justice, Jonathan Dennis, at that time. I showed him the documents that I had in my possession, and he said this is a criminal offense. He was actually shocked that the City Hall would frame a citizen, a pastor, trying to put him to jail for feeding the poor and preaching the gospel. The media spun the story that I was too loud, that the speakers were just crazy loud. For your information and for the information of others, if they're familiar with the story, to this day, I have never been charged of being too loud. We were within the limits, acceptable limits, decibel limits. In the city of Calgary, I bought myself an equipment to prove that they are lying. Have never been cited of being too loud. It was all propaganda. I was told later on that what they tried to do is to shut off any far-right, Christian conservative view, which I am very vocal about. And that's what this whole thing was all about. They wanted to make an example out of a pastor that they can shut down and shut off anyone they choose. They didn't succeed. I won my cases in the court, which was a big shock for the left and for the mayor. After the second mayor took over, which is a Muslim mayor right now, Nahed Nenshi, he continued this harassment. Under his regime, I was arrested as well. I tried to reason with him. I tried to meet with him. I was never successful, except public events, which he attended and I attended. I was able to talk to him, but off the records. One time he told me and the reporters in front of the people that, people, you should not listen to Artur Pawlowski because even Jesus doesn't listen to him. So this guy is a twisted man. He has total disregard to our faith. And he still is on the throne of this city. People re-elected him. I know it was questionable how he won, but we have no proof to prove that he won in a wrongful manner. He is still the mayor of the city. He still harasses people. Anyone that opposes him, he tries to shut him down. But to this day, the courts have sided with us, and we're still on the streets of Calgary 4 times a week. We feed the poor, and it doesn't matter who comes to us. It doesn't matter if you're a Muslim or a homosexual or white or black. If you stand in our lineup, you will receive food. And of course, it's a church, so we preach the gospel, and we have worship service, and we have prayer services. But you're welcome to come and participate, no matter of your ethnic backgrounds, or if you're immigrant, or color of your skin, or your gender. You're welcome to come. And so that's what I'm doing on a regular basis. And from time to time, because of my experience, I have decided that I'm going to help others that are being treated the same way I have been treated, and I will give them a voice, because that voice was taken away from me. So I started to do conferences and rallies at the city halls and the legislature. We had one a few months ago, and the next one is going to be in Ottawa at the Parliament Hill. But this Saturday, we are doing another rally at City of Calgary and a March for Freedom. So what we want to do is Friday, we have invited amazing conservative speakers. They're going to share what's really going on
So we're talking
in
about
our country.
Friday. Can you give me the date on that and location
Friday the 13th in the city of Calgary.
of April?
There's,
20,000,
that's right.
2018, Friday the 18th of April. Okay. And
No,
who's
the
coming?
13th of April.
Right, the 13th, yes. And who's coming to speak?
So we have Kevin J. Johnson. I've heard about this man when he was attacked for his freedom of speech. He dared to criticize, as I call it, the holy cow of Canada right now is Islam. You cannot touch it. You cannot talk historical facts about what happened with Muhammad, what happened in every country. Like, show me one democratic country under Sharia law. There is none. I traveled around the world. I have seen the effects of Sharia law, and I'm telling Canadians, this is not good. You don't want to live under that dictatorship. So I took notice that this man is fighting the good fight for democracy. I invited him to speak. Okay, I want to hear from his own mouth what he has to say about his fight. We will have Sandra Solomon. Of course, she's very controversial because she's doing stuff that no other Canadians would not dare to do. But she lived under Sharia law. She came from Saudi Arabia. She knows what she's talking about if it comes to Islam. We should actually take notice and listen to the people that lived there and know what they are talking about. Canadians have never faced dictatorship, really, for a very long time.
Until
And
now, that's right. Until now.
so Canadians are completely unaware, apathetic, uninterested. They don't really care, or they don't want to care about what those ideologies, political ideologies, are bringing. I grew up under communist dictatorship myself, so I know what I'm talking about, and I'm warning the Canadians that you should better listen to the people that came here, emigrated here from those troubled countries. We will have also Rod Taylor. He is the leader of the Christian Heritage Party, and he's going to be talking about alternatives. Do we have alternatives as Christian people in this country? Who can we vote for? Because you know, and I know, Conservative Party of Canada totally failed Canadians. They failed us. They failed Conservatives. They have turned liberal. There is no difference for me right now, NDP, Liberal Party or Conservative Party. They are as bad. Like my brother always says, he says that they're all snakes. Some are a little bit less poisonous, but they will kill you in the end. That's what's happening to Canada. We have lost our conservative voice. So Rod Taylor from Christian Heritage Party is going to be giving us the alternative, that we actually can become strong again, and we can have conservative, fiscally conservative and socially conservative voice in our country. Well, we'll have Bill Watcott. Well, that's another controversial person that no one right now would allow to speak. And I say, why not? Just because someone is controversial or you disagree with his views, that doesn't mean that he cannot speak. I want to know, if you invite me to a mosque to speak, I will go and I will speak. If you invite me to a homosexual parade, I will go and I will speak over there. Why not? And I will listen to others, what they have to say. I'm not afraid of the lie because I walk with the truth. So Bill Watcott is coming. He is a man that first brought to Canada those billboards with children murdered in abortion clinics by their mothers. The pictures, he was arrested probably about 30 times or so, faced number of fines and tickets and jail time. So he's coming to share his life story. He wrote a book. I really enjoyed reading his book, Born in a Graveyard. If you're interested, it's a book by Bill Watcott, fascinating book. He was most wanted of Canada. He was a terrorist, really. He was a bad guy, drug addict, drug dealer, turned into an activist. And now he fights for what is good. He helps people and he exposes the agenda of the cultural Marxism, because that's what it is. We also have Bekashe, she's coming. There's going to be a live concert with her, amazing young woman, passionate. She's going to be doing songs like Revolution, Heartbeat, The Time Is Now, and we'll have Smet. He's a 5 times champion bull rider, a fascinating man. 3 broke his neck. He's going to share his story, how God spared his life. A fascinating man, a courageous man, a true hero. If you look at the whole rodeo stuff, and so he's sharing his story. I will be speaking on cultural Marxism and communism. I'll just tell the people my childhood, what happened in 81, in 82, when the tanks took over the streets, when the people were shot and murdered on the streets of Poland because they dared to fight for their freedom. And it's a very interesting thing, because Poland always had constitution. Actually, historically speaking, Poland was the second country in the world after United States of America that implemented a constitution. And during the communist regime, Poland still had constitution. But of course, the government was so corrupted that no one cared about the constitutional rights. If you dared to question what the government or Communist Party was doing, you were jailed or murdered. And thousands of people were murdered in my country when I was growing up. We will also have Rob Anders. Rob Anders is a fascinating figure because he is the co-founder of the Conservative Party of Canada with Stephen Harper, the ex-prime minister, and Stockwell Day. He's going to share with us, and he calls it Tory mistakes. He's going to talk about what went wrong, the compromise within the party. And there will be many more people. Will have Chinese lady that will represent Chinese community. She will be speaking. We'll have Native Americans. They're going to start with a prayer, and they're going to share. We have persecuted people from Egypt. They're going to talk about what happened and what still happens in the countries that are dominated by Islam. So those are the facts. I'm interested in facts. I'm not interested in biased media reports. I just want to hear with my own ears. Those people lived through those horrible times, and they know what they're talking about. And I think we should give them that right, that opportunity to share their experience. Only a fool would not listen to another story.
Well, first of all, I agree with you, but according to the letter of Canadian law, they already have that right. And what's so concerning is that levels of government and the enforcement agents for government are acting as a sort of postmodern Marxist communist enforcers to deny a right which we do have in law. But actually, one of the reasons I wanted to do, by the way, don't let me let you go without you telling us when you're coming to Ottawa, so we can try to get a lot of people out to see you there at Parliament Hill. But I understand that there's already been some attempts by officialdom to prevent you from having this evening. Is that correct in Calgary?
Oh yes, the amount of hate emails and phone calls and posts and meetings that I already had, it's unbelievable, including police officers, hate crime units, city officials. It looks like if you're a Muslim and a homosexual, you have all the rights you want. You are the privileged. You are the elite of the country. If you're white and Christian, you don't have the same privileges anymore. You don't have the same rights anymore. So I have been told to not do it because if I do, something bad will happen. A person that threatened to cut my head off, believe it or not, was already charged with uttering threats and probably conspiracy to commit murder. So one person is already being charged. A few more will follow if they continue on this rhetoric. I've seen with my own eyes posts on the Facebook page like Raging Grannies in Calgary. I encourage you to go and see those groups of people. They are awful, wicked, evil, hateful. I have never seen so much hate coming from organizations that are claiming to be organizations for freedom. This is unbelievable. Antifa, anti-fascist organization, I'm telling you, they are the true fascists. I went to their page today, and the language they're using, calling names and just horrible things. For example, they say, let's beat them up. Let's show them that they will not be able to do what they want to do. Let's play soccer. Let's have a soccer match in the middle of the rally. Let's destroy, let's yell at them as much as we can. Who wants to come and yell at those people? And I will spare you the names. So this is a tactics of the brown shirts of Adolf Hitler. I don't know if you remember with history. He had a group of people that would try to destroy every public rally, every place that people wanted to voice their dissatisfaction with Adolf Hitler or with Nazi party. The same thing was done in communism regimes. There were Gestapo later on, then there were NDP, wherever you look.
Let's not forget the Stasi and an endless list of
KGB. The list is so long, and every had a different name. We have right now homo-fascists and Antifa and human rights commissions, kangaroo courts, and a different level of so-called hate crime legislations, which of course it's not a hate. If I disagree with you on whatever topic, that's not hate. That just, I have an opinion on this subject and you have a different opinion. It's not a big deal, but they are making this a big deal. They really want to destroy any form of freedom of speech in this country. And I grew up under that kind of regime, and it's not good. In the end, everyone suffers. So I went to Antifa page and I have seen what they're posting. They are calling every person to come and attack us. And then, surprise, I received a video from, her name is Saima Jamal. And behold, this is a very interesting woman, because a few years ago, there was a rally, pro-Palestinian rally on the streets of Calgary, about 1,000 angry, yelling, screaming, hateful Muslims on the streets of Calgary that beat up about 10 Jewish supporters on the streets of Calgary. Believe it or not, it's already happening. And they sent them to hospital. And after they were done with those 10 Jewish supporters, they came to our church. They actually came to our church, and they were saying that they will cut my head off, they will rape my wife, they will kill my children if I will not remove our flag from the church. I'm a chaplain for the Israeli organization as well. I have Israeli and Canadian flag in our church, and they demanded that I take it down or else. Police was there. I asked the police to charge them with uttering threats. The police refused. There was CBC, Calgary Herald, Calgary Sun, CTV, Global News. Everyone was there. They saw what those people were saying, and they reported zero, nothing. You know what they did? They pick up from a crowd the smallest lady in hijab, the smallest lady from their side. Of course, they were not interested in that. And they interviewed her, while all around people were shouting, "Kill the Jews, Hitler was right, take the flag or we will chop your head off," and stuff like this. And I went to listen what she has to say. And she says, well, we just want to live in peace. We just want to be left alone. And that's the story they actually run in the news. So folks, Canadians, if you're watching mainstream media, then you are part of the problem. Because I have never seen a bigger propaganda machinery than in this country, even growing up in Poland under communist dictatorship. In Poland, they would laugh at you, they would discredit you, but they would never say you're not there. I led a march, 5,000 people on the streets of Calgary, and not even one media outlet covered the story. Can you believe it? We shut down the whole downtown, and they would not even say that we were there. That's how bad it is. But then on the other hand, if you have 5 Muslim pro-Palestinian people, they will make a big story. They will just cover, show that there is like masses over there. Their rhetorics, that's what they are pushing. If you're watching mainstream media, then I have only one thing to say to you: Dumb and Dumber. You will go to that pit that you are. They are digging for you if you're not careful. So Friday 13th is the conference with those amazing conservative speakers. After that, we will have rally. 11 o'clock, we will come to the city hall, because I believe that we should voice our opinions in the places of authority, in the places of government. And when I went to Saima Jamal page, I see that she is rallying every Muslim person that she can, at every mosque that she can, to come and counter-attack us. And you know what that means? That means hate, that means yelling, that means fighting, that means craziness.
May I make,
and of course,
may I make a small adjustment to that? I'm going to suggest, this is your story and I'm learning it from you, but I don't think she's arranging a counterattack. I believe she's arranging an attack, because you're simply exercising your constitutional rights to arrange a public meeting that people have a choice to go to or not go to. You're not attacking anybody or anything. She's arranging to attack you. That's not a counterattack. There's no justification for what she's doing.
No, that's true. That's true. You're absolutely right. First of all, I want to clarify: this rally is not a rally to do anything except to pray, to worship. We have about 8 churches coming to exercise our rights, to pray in public, to pray for our city, for our provinces, and for our country. We'll have different speakers that we believe can contribute to that. We will be holding hands together with everyone that would come, and we'll pray for this nation. That's what the whole thing is all about. And after, we are taking chains and we are marching on the streets to Harry Hayes Building. Harry Hayes Building is the federal government building, and I believe in symbolism. And what we want to do at the Harry Hayes Building is we want to cut the chains, symbolizing that we are free people living in a free and democratic country called Canada. That's what we want. We want the government to back off. We want the media to back off. Let us live in peace. We want to live in peace. We want to be left alone. But what I see right now is what happened in early 30s in Germany. The Jewish people were discriminated against. They were losing their jobs just because they were Jews. They were attacked. Their windows were smashed. What I see in Canada is identical. My car was smashed, tires slashed, windows broken. My face was plastered all over my neighborhood. And the rhetoric was that I'm this horrible monster that hates everyone, with my picture and my telephone and my home address. They destroyed my property, and that's what they did during the rally last time. They broke my speakers, they unplugged our power. You see, those people are not interested in the freedom of speech. They are interested in shutting down the freedom of speech. If it's not their way, it's the highway. That's not democracy. That's Saudi Arabia. That's China. That's Russia. You like this type of behavior, go and move to the place that has a dictator. I came to Canada specifically because it was democracy. Because I knew, I was told by the ambassador in Athens when I was living, that when I come to Canada, I have my freedom of rights. I have the freedom of religion, freedom of association. No one will be hunting me down just because my friend is someone that you don't like. That's unbelievable what's happening. We're losing this country so quickly. And unfortunately, the apathy of the people here is shocking to me. It looks like they have sold their inheritance for the bowl of soup. So Jamal is calling jihad. She's calling a jihad on us, disguised as let's counter protest the haters. She's calling me hater while I'm feeding homeless people for the past 20 years. You know, never, not once, I denied food to anyone ever, unless he was violent, he was punching volunteers.
Would you say, in a few words, would you say that there is a serious collusion and relationship between the far postmodern Marxist left and Muslim activists to suppress all of their points of view out there, or in Canada in general, but certainly because people, when they think about Alberta, typically think about the most libertarian part of Canada, the most conservative / libertarian. I don't think people typically think of Calgary as a city which is under the iron heel of this kind of Marxist and Islamic oppression.
Well, it was very bad during the era of Dave Bronconia, the previous mayor, but now it's a lot worse because this is what they sent it to the world. Since Nehed Nenshi, the Muslim mayor, and the mayor that leads homosexual parades, he is very involved in the homosexuality, this whole advocacy for the homosexuals. Since he came to power, it looks like it's becoming a lot worse. Not from the legal point of view, at least not for me, because I won all the cases, but if it comes to a spiritual atmosphere, it looks like now it's okay to mock and laugh and ridicule Christians and Jews. But the moment you stand up and you say, hey, listen, we are being persecuted, they say you're a liar and cheater, manipulator. And if you do anything to them, if you say anything to them, you will be front page hater, like they did to me. When I send a letter
and
to the
Sandra
church.
Solomon, actually, yes. Sandra Solomon's got stunning press for actually standing up for her rights as a free woman in a free country.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is that she lived under Sharia law. She knows what she's talking about, and Canadians should stop and say, hey, wait a second. Let's hear this woman, okay? Because maybe she knows what she's talking about. How many Canadian women lived under Sharia law? I'm sure not many. So you should shut up and listen to someone that did. What can you tell me about communism? If you never lived it, keep your mouth shut. Listen to me, because I lived through the craziness. I've seen machine guns and tanks and people being murdered on the streets. I've seen the craziness. Martial law in my country when I was growing up. I've seen what communism does to a country. So you should better listen to someone that lived through the horrors of that regime, instead of, mocking and laughing and downsizing, downplaying everything that we have to say. That's why I want to create those conferences. And this is not the last one. I'm already planning another one. I will not be shut down just because Antifa wants me to, or homo fascists want me to, or the government wants me to, or raging grannies. So, I listened to the video that Jamal, the lady Simon Jamal, did, and I didn't finish the story. After they beat up those Jewish supporters and they came to the church, and the media did a mockery of the news. The next day, I went to the Facebook page of this lady, and she was laughing. She says, ha, 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 they should know better now, never to come back publicly. And she was happy that those people were heard during her so-called peaceful rally. And some people were later on, after Ezra Levant stepped in, and a friend of mine, a lawyer, amazing lawyer, Snockle, Rebecca Snockle, she decided to take the case and actually go after the villains they were charged with assault. So that's the same woman that is being honored everywhere. If you go to her Facebook page, she meets with the mayor. She just came back from Ottawa, from the parliament, and she was in legislature, invited, honored by the MLAs. This is insanity. This woman is evil, evil woman, forwarding evil agenda, attacking every conservative person, and she's being honored by the government. She's being honored by the media. And she just raised $280,000 for one of her cause. When we conservatives are trying to talk to the Canadians, say, listen, we need your help. If you are afraid to come to the rally, if you cannot come to the rally, at least chip in, give $5, because I'm taking all of those speakers, I'm paying for their flights, I'm paying for their accommodation, I'm paying for their food, because I love this country and I want this country to see what's really going on. Do you think that people respond? Almost no one cares, it looks like. No one cares in this country what is going to happen to the next generation? Don't you love your kids? Have you ever been in Saudi Arabia? Have you ever been in West Bank, for example? I traveled, I've been there, I've seen what those people are doing to each other. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Pastor Artur, how can people contribute to your mission, and when will you be in Ottawa?
Well, it's very easy. art@streetchurch.ca. They can send e-transfer if they're doing that. Of course, they can send a check to the church, Street Church. On the website, there is address. They can also contribute.
What's the website?
www.streetchurch.ca. If they punch my name on Facebook, there's lots of videos, lots of stuff. Artur Pawlowski, Artur, last name Pawlowski. So when people want to help, there are tons of ways to help. We're feeding thousands of people every single week on the streets of Calgary. Plus, we do marches for Jesus and rallies and conferences and Christian festivals. If it comes to Ottawa, I will be in Ottawa during the big rally at the Parliament Hill. I was invited to speak, to be one of the speakers during the rally in July, 13 and 14, I believe it is. So come. If you are living there, I understand you may not necessarily be able to come to Calgary, but I will come to you. Let's shake this nation. Let's show the left and the government that we are still a voice in this country, that we will not be quailed, we will not be silenced, we will not be, fearful to stand up for our inheritance. Do not sell your country for comfort, because I'm telling you, the comfort is only temporary. You think that if they came for me, they will not come for you? You're mistaken. They always go for more. The devil comes for the finger, he will come back for your hand and then your head. And then you will wake up one day like the Polish people, like the German people, like the Chinese people. What happened to my country? Why am I suffering? Well, you're suffering because when there was a time to stand up and fight, you chose not to. And when a man like me with a strange accent is talking to you and saying, please, if you are a coward, if you don't want to do it, help me. I will fight your fights. I will fight your battles. I just need some bullets. Give me some bullets so I can keep fighting. Of course, I'm talking about finances, not the real bullets. And this is not the fight. This is a peaceful resistance. I created a civil rights movement. You can like the page. I just did it a day ago or 2 days ago. It's called Christian Civil Rights Movement. And it's a 50th anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. I think we need another civil rights movement in this country. We are being discriminated. We are second-class citizens. And I say this is wrong.
You're absolutely right. And you know what? This could go on we could easily do another 2 hours. And I think at some point I would really like to discuss with you your particular view of the creeping Islamization and the creeping socialization, Marxism and postmodernism that's infecting Canadian institutions from government to schools. And I think that your perspective on it might help wake up a few Canadians. But I think for the moment, we're going to have to call it here. And again, I want to thank you very much for taking the time with me. I'm really looking forward to speaking with you again. I really hope that we can do it again really soon, okay?
Sure, thank you very much. Thank you for
luck.
not being afraid and willing to have people like me to talk to you.